In the vast, intricate dance of global trade, a silent choreography unfolds every hour of every day, connecting continents and shaping our modern lives in ways we rarely notice. Trillions of dollars worth of goods, everything from electronics and clothing to food and fuel, move across our oceans every day, forming the lifeblood of the global economy. This system relies on massive ships and narrow sea lanes, arteries of commerce that are usually invisible to us, until something goes wrong and the world is forced to pay attention. On a windy March day in 2021, one ship brought this entire system to a sudden, grinding halt, sending shockwaves through every corner of the globe. The Ever Given, a colossal container ship stretching over 1,300 feet, became wedged in the Suez Canal, like a key snapped in the world's most important lock, blocking the passage entirely. For 6 tense days it held the global economy hostage, turning what should have been a routine shipping route into a worldwide spectacle watched by millions. Hundreds of ships carrying billions in cargo were stuck in a watery parking lot, unable to move forward or back, their crews waiting anxiously for a solution. The world watched, transfixed, as a tiny bulldozer tried to free a ship longer than the Eiffel Tower is tall, a David and Goliath moment for the modern age. The Ever Given became a symbol overnight, a reminder of just how fragile and interconnected our global systems really are. One small disruption triggered chaos across the planet, exposing the hidden machinery of globalization and the delicate balance that keeps it running. This was more than a shipping mishap. It was a wake-up call about the scale, complexity, and vulnerability of our world, and how quickly things can unravel. The lesson? Our modern marvels are also fragile houses of cards, and sometimes it only takes a single ship to remind us just how delicate our world truly is. To truly grasp the chaos that can unfold, you first have to understand the Suez Canal, one of the most important waterways on the planet. This 120-mile-long waterway, carved through the heart of the Egyptian desert, is more than just a canal. It's one of the world's most vital shortcuts, a man-made marvel that changed global trade forever. Before the Suez Canal opened in 1869, ships had to make the long, perilous journey around Africa's Cape of Good Hope, a route that added weeks, sometimes even months, and thousands of extra miles to every voyage between Europe and Asia. The canal links the Mediterranean and Red Seas, creating a direct connection between East and West. What once took weeks can now be accomplished in just days, revolutionizing how goods move across continents. Today, about 12% of global trade, nearly $10 billion worth of goods every single day, flows through this narrow channel, making it a true artery of international commerce. It's a superhighway for the world's biggest ships, carrying everything from oil and natural gas to cars, clothing, and electronics, products that touch nearly every aspect of our daily lives. For Egypt, the canal is a major source of national revenue and pride. For the rest of the world, it's a critical choke point that keeps the gears of global trade turning. Any disruption here, even if it lasts just a few hours, sends shockwaves through the global economy, affecting everything from the price of fuel to the availability of everyday goods. When the canal is open and running smoothly, most people barely notice it, but when it's blocked, the world feels the impact almost instantly. The Suez Canal is a lifeline for just-in-time delivery systems everywhere, ensuring that goods arrive exactly when they're needed. Its smooth operation keeps factories running, supermarket shelves stocked, and entire economies humming along without interruption. But when the Ever Given ran aground and blocked the canal, the world saw just how thin and fragile that lifeline really is, as hundreds of ships piled up in a matter of days. One ship, one accident, and suddenly the world's supply chain was thrown into chaos, reminding us all how interconnected and vulnerable global trade can be. The Ever Given is a true giant, nearly 400 meters long, stretching further than 4 football fields placed end to end. Its sheer scale is almost hard to comprehend, dominating the waters wherever it sails. The ship is even wider than a 6-lane highway, with a deck so broad it could easily swallow up city streets. If you could somehow stand it on end, the Ever Given would tower over the Empire State Building, making it one of the largest moving objects ever built by humans. This floating skyscraper was carrying over 18,000 containers, packed with everything from furniture and electronics to car parts and clothing, worth over $1 billion. Each container represents a piece of the world's supply chain, connecting factories to families across continents. It's a microcosm of the global economy, all packed onto one immense platform, moving silently across the seas. Moving a ship this size requires immense power and skill. It can't stop quickly or turn sharply. Every maneuver is calculated, and even a small mistake can have massive consequences. Navigating the Suez Canal is a high-stakes challenge, even for experienced crews and pilots. The narrow channel leaves little room for error, demanding constant vigilance. The Ever Given's deadweight tonnage is nearly 200,000 metric tons, the weight of 40,000 elephants. That's an unimaginable mass to control, especially in tight quarters. The shipping industry's quest for efficiency has led to ever bigger ships, but canals and ports haven't always kept up. The infrastructure often lags behind the ambitions of global trade. These giants now squeeze through passages built for a smaller age, raising the stakes for every transit and making each journey a test of precision. On that fateful day, the Ever Given was a symbol of both human ingenuity and the risks of pushing the limits. It showcased our ability to build big and the vulnerabilities that come with it. One wrong move and the world's trade could grind to a halt. The ripple effects would be felt in every corner of the globe. The ship's size was its strength and its Achilles heel, making it both a marvel and a potential liability. When it got stuck, the consequences were global, reminding us just how interconnected and fragile our world has become. March 23, 2021. The Ever Given joins a northbound convoy in the Suez Canal. A fierce sandstorm sweeps in, with winds gusting up to 46 miles per hour. The ship's stacked containers act like a giant sail, making steering nearly impossible. As the Ever Given enters a narrow section, crosswinds push it sideways. The crew and pilots fight to correct course, but the ship's momentum is overwhelming. In minutes, disaster strikes. The bow plows into the eastern bank, the stern swings into the west. The Ever Given is wedged diagonally across the canal. A mawing 300-foot steel plug, the world's most important maritime highway, is blocked. Frantic radio calls echo on the bridge. Behind, ships grind to a halt. Satellite images confirm the worst. The ship is stuck fast. Tugboats rush in, but moving the Ever Given is like trying to shift a mountain. The line of waiting ships grows by the hour. The world watches, stunned, as a single ship brings global trade to a standstill. The great engine of commerce had seized. With the Ever Given blocking the canal, a colossal traffic jam forms. Within 24 hours, over 150 ships are stranded. By week's end, more than 400. Oil tankers, bulk carriers, and container ships, each one a story of disruption. The economic cost is staggering, nearly $10 billion in trade held up every day. Shipping companies face lost revenue and logistical nightmares. Businesses face empty shelves and broken promises. Some ships gamble on a costly detour around Africa, adding weeks and huge fuel costs. The blockage turns shipping into a high-stakes guessing game. The world's supply chain is suddenly unpredictable. The Suez drama rippled out to towns and cities worldwide. Oil prices jumped as tankers sat idle, threatening higher gas prices everywhere. Carmakers and factories warned of new delays, as parts and materials were stuck at sea. Even coffee, tea, and garden gnomes were caught in the jam. The just-in-time system began to fray, exposing the vulnerability of our food and product supply. For consumers, the impact was subtle at first, then grew. The backlog of ships created port congestion and further delays for months. Shipping costs soared, and those costs trickled down to higher prices for everyday goods. The Ever Given showed how a single point of failure can disrupt life everywhere. Our modern convenience depends on a fragile global web. As the world watched, a massive rescue operation began. The Ever Given was deeply embedded in the canal's sandy banks, held by its own immense weight. Dredgers worked around the clock, removing sand and mud from the bow and stern. On land, a lone excavator, tiny next to the ship, became a symbol of the struggle. Teams pumped out ballast water to lighten the ship and considered removing containers, a logistical nightmare. The final hope, a rare supermoon tide, set to raise water levels by 18 inches. The plan coordinate a massive tugboat effort with the peak tide. On March 29, after 6 tense days, the tide swelled and 14 tugboats pulled with all their might. Slowly, the stern came free, then the bow broke loose. The Ever Given was finally freed. Horns blared in celebration, the canal reopened. The world's trade engine sputtered back to life. The Ever Given was free, But the saga was far from over. The ship was detained in the Great Bitter Lake as legal battles began. The Suez Canal Authority demanded nearly $1 billion in damages. A web of lawsuits and negotiations followed, involving the ship's owner, operator, and insurers. The blame game began. Was it human error, poor canal management, or just bad luck? Investigations pointed to severe weather, but questions lingered about responsibility. After months of wrangling, a confidential settlement was reached. The Ever Given finally completed its journey, 4 months late. For the crew, it was the end of a long ordeal. For the world, the incident left lasting questions about risk and vulnerability in global trade. The Ever Given story is a parable for our interconnected world. It revealed how a single accident can expose the fragility of global systems. The relentless pursuit of efficiency, bigger ships, tighter schedules, has made trade faster, but also riskier. Our infrastructure struggles to keep up with the scale of modern shipping. The incident sparked debate. Have we pushed the limits too far? Do we need more resilience in our supply chains? The blockage in Egypt slowed factories in Europe, threatened fuel in Asia, and raised prices in America. We are all part of a single, sprawling economic ecosystem, sharing both benefits and vulnerabilities. The image of a tiny excavator against a giant ship became a symbol of human determination. For all our ingenuity, we remain at the mercy of nature and chance. The Ever Given sailed on, but the lessons remain. Our world is both a marvel of engineering and a fragile web. One ship, one mistake, and the world stands still. The challenge now: build a system that's not just efficient, but resilient.